How's everybody doing today? Again, not that anybody's actually joined yet. How's the middle of the week going for everybody? And bring the water with us. Get this one, but this has been in here for a few days now. I always try to keep a bottle of water in the car. Luckily, it hasn't been 80 degrees or anything. That's when we don't really keep drinkable water in the car anyways. Pretty much always have water in the car. Never know when you might need to, I've had old cars. This isn't, my girlfriend has a nice car, but I've had old cars where sometimes you gotta throw water in it, help cool it down, stuff like that. And decide to get, like, I don't know, something sticky like a donut or something. It's nice to have something to rinse your hand off. Sadly, don't have a great setup for trying to tape. I'm just kind of using my steering wheel, which can't really get a good setup sitting. Hello, Rise. Thanks for joining the broadcast. What's up, man? What you got to say? Hello, CT. Hi, Bhupal. Name a car for an edit. Ford Taurus. I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Lady's doing physical therapy, so I'm just killing time in the car till she gets out. Our niece has a basketball game at 4. So we're probably just going to go to that after this. That's why I'm just sitting here waiting. Thank you so much for following, Katja. I appreciate that. Wait, you said name a car, so that's the first car I thought of. A 1969 Ford Mach 1 Mustang. Is that better? I'm not really a car guy. Like, I like minivans. Message retracted. Never seen that before. Guess Katja decided not to follow. I got a few hobbies. I've been a big gamer my entire life. Play a lot of video games. I am 31. I recently got into crocheting. I actually have something I crocheted right here. See, it's a shrunken head. I messed up on this eyeball a bit, but got into crocheting. I like reading comic books. Play a bit of D&D, though it's been a while since I've played any D&D. That's a good chunk of my hobbies anyways, and I've recently become a content creator. I would argue that this is a hobby. Thank you so much for liking the video, CT. The last movie we watched was The Batman, the one that came out a couple years ago. We sat down and watched it in, I think, 3 parts, because it's a 3-hour movie, so we watched it in chunks. But yeah, that's the last movie we watched. Wasn't really impressed. I feel like they could have done a much better job with that movie. It was real slow. Yeah, my channel is relatively new. Been doing this for like 6 months. I transferred my YouTube page into my content platform, so technically my YouTube page has existed for, I don't know, probably a decade or something, but I didn't start creating content on it until like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago. I wouldn't say everything. I liked the Ben Affleck Batman. I thought he did the acting well. Some of the like dialogue and stuff could have been written better. But yeah, they did extremely well on those movies. But Batman's one of the superheroes that they have done well for a really long time. So hopefully they'll either come out with a second one of the one the 22 one, and it builds on the world a bit better, keeps a better pace, because that was probably the biggest thing, is it was a very slow superhero movie, which isn't a big deal. It just, some parts got real boring. I do technically have an Instagram, but I don't ever use it. I have a Facebook page, a TikTok, a YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Technically, again, I have an Instagram, and unless like the posts I make on Facebook automatically transfer over there, I don't really get on it. Like, I don't even think I have Instagram installed on my phone. So this is something I've actually been thinking about a lot lately, Rudra. Is for a long time I preferred DC, but last couple of years I've realized how much I enjoy Spider-Man as a superhero. And I've been leaning more towards Marvel. I've read like 1 or 2 DC comics randomly, but I've like since, I don't know, halfway through last year or something, I've been reading comic books on Marvel Unlimited, so I've been learning a lot more about the Marvel universe. But what I've usually said is, so like when it comes to comic books, I'd say Marvel, just because I've read more of Marvel. I like Marvel's live action movies better than I like DC's live action movies, but DC's animated movies are better than Marvel's animated movies. Just in my personal opinion, I think DC hit it out of the park with their animated universe, and I feel like they continue to do that. I actually want to watch the 3-part, I think it's Crisis on Infinite Earth or whatever. Thank you for the support, CT, and the hand hearts. I appreciate it. I forgot where I was going now. But yeah, so I wouldn't say I lean one way or the other. So I tried to watch them in order to a certain extent. Like, I looked into it. It matters for a few of the movies, but I'd say overall, like universe wise, it doesn't really matter what order you watch the movies in, because it's all very entertaining. If there's like the Crisis on Infinite Earth or whatever the new one's called, it has 3 parts, so obviously like those movies you got to watch in order. But all the rest of the movies that aren't, like, unless it's a parted thing, you can watch them in any order, in my personal opinion. I'm from Michigan. It's where I currently live at the moment. What is your preferred universe, Rudra? And where are you from, CT? I appreciate you guys coming in and talking, by the way. it's always more fun to have the lives going, having somebody to talk to instead of me just trying to ramble randomly. It's a bit more constructed this way. Not really, no. I haven't really experienced anything supernatural to think it's, or paranormal rather, to really believe in it. I believe most things can be explained today, and the things we can't really explain are just because we're not at the intelligence level to figure it out yet. Just like if you go back a couple hundred years and they'll say things that we know now are like anomalies of nature and things like that, they'll be like, oh, it's aliens or magic. It's just lack of knowledge that they think it's something paranormal or supernatural. So I think that though there are things we don't understand, it's just a matter of time before human beings do, because we're insanely intelligent. Yeah, no, that's what, like, and that's actually why I like their movies, DC's movies better, or the animated movies better than the Marvel movies, is that the animated movies are a bit darker as well, and I like Marvel, because they're bought by Disney and whatnot, they try to keep everything nice and rounded to get as many people to watch it in as many age ranges to watch it. Whereas the DC movies, some of them aren't for children. Like, they're straight up made for adults, and children shouldn't watch them. And yeah, I like that, because some comic stories as well as concepts and stuff are very mature. So I like when they can dive deeper into those things. My real name is Casey. I actually believe it says that in my bio. Appreciate you asking. Yes, no, living in interesting times is definitely, I'd say, an understatement. Thank you so much for sharing my video. I really appreciate it. That's a hard one. Would depend on what you consider as niche. It's I don't think there's really too many things I'm like extremely educated on specifically. I'm more of a jack of all trades kind of guy. Try and stay informed in most things. I've been learning a lot more about Spider-Man last year, because I'm writing original comic books, and I've probably read like 400 of the 3 like main series of Spider-Man, which is the Amazing Spider-Man, Marvel Team Up, and the Spectacular Spider-Man Peter Parker. So I've learned a lot more about Spider-Man specifically. I know quite a bit about like disability stuff. I don't know like the specifics of a lot of laws, but I do know general like laws and stuff about disabled people and accessibility and things like that. Because I myself am disabled. I try to stay informed on like politics and stuff, because everything, no matter how much people might want to say that, oh, politics are separate from things, everything is political, because politics affects every aspect of every life. Do I think we'll see human settlement on Mars in our lifetimes? Well, it depends on how old you are for me to know if it'll be in your lifetime or not. Probably not in my lifetime. It is something that is possible, but for a long time, I've always really liked the idea of like, going to other planets and living on other planets and stuff. As I've gotten a bit older and looked more into like the environment and things like that, I've seen a lot of arguments of why, instead of trying to go and make other worlds habitable, we should be more worried about keeping the world we have as habitable. Because and part of what I like about that is a a lot of the technology we would use to make another planet habitable, we can use to make this planet habitable. So we can still go into the science of it, so eventually we can move to other planets, but we really need to focus on our planet to make sure our basis of existence goes on. I have cerebral palsy in my right arm and leg. What's up, CT? I'm pretty much an open book, willing to answer most questions. And I only say most questions because, you know, the internet can be weird and creepy. So I'm not going to say all questions and then people start getting weird on me. I'm also very open about my disability and happy to talk about any questions you may have about it. I am comfortable talking politics. I've been keeping my lives a bit more lighthearted the last week because, not this last Tuesday, but the Tuesday before was a bit hard for a lot of Americans, me included. With the way a lot of the voting went, I'm real worried with a lot of people's futures, including mine and my lady's. We are both disabled. Specifically, my lady has a lot more things going on with her. Sadly, no, Michigan went red this election. But she gets a lot more medical care and stuff through the state and federal protections. One of her medicines cost $33,000 per shot. She takes the shot 4 times a year. So I'm real afraid about when they start cutting into social programs, which they are going to cut into social programs, that she's going to stop getting some of the stuff she gets that helps her quality of life. And it is things technically she doesn't need the medicine to be alive, but it helps her quality of life to where she's not in the hospital once a month because she takes this medicine that helps keep her body in a better position than what it would be without the medicine. CT, we'll talk about that a bit more privately. I don't know if YouTube has like DMs, private messages, but I'm also Powerful Swagger on Facebook. You could send me a message there or on Twitter, and we can talk a bit more about maybe being partners. That's something I'd prefer to do, just us two, though. It was the fear mongering. Yes, it was. There was so much fear mongering, and it's crazy how many people didn't do the research they should have done before making votes. And like you can check on my pages. I push for anybody to vote. I don't care what way you're voting. Everybody should vote. It is, your right as an American citizen to vote. It's the only way you can really affect the things around you politically. So it's something you should do. But I also hope that a lot of people I knew and lived around me and stuff would be voting blue. I do try to be a good person. When I used to work, which I don't anymore, mainly because my cerebral palsy got a little bit worse. I've been in a lot more pain the last couple of years, so it's harder for me to do more physical jobs, which is what I have the experience and qualifications for. I have to go to school and stuff if I want to get more of an office job. And my own insecurities, depressions, and anxieties and stuff have kept me from taking the steps I need to go that whole route. Then forgot where I was going there, but me and her, she can work 8 hours a week, and she's got so many different things going on with her. The biggest thing, and I feel like her main thing, even though it could be argued other things affect her day to day more, she has a necrosis in all her major joints. Um, she is in her mid 30s and she's had both her hips replaced already. And the only reason she hasn't had her knees replaced yet is because every doctor has told her, wait until you cannot bear it to any extent. Because once you get knee replacements, your life's going to change drastically, even more than it already has with the, because she wasn't always disabled. A lot of her disabilities that have like truly affected her life to where she's not just like an able person, um, have happened in the last like 6 or 7 years. I've actually only known her for about 5 years. Um, but yeah, she hasn't always been disabled, and a lot of this stuff is real new. But the necrosis is killing her knees, her ankles, her elbows, and it did kill her hips. Um, so she's got to get her knees replaced eventually. But once you get your knees replaced, you have to get it done every 10 to 15 years because that's how it works with knee replacements. Um, so yeah, with her being in her mid 30s, that means she'd have to get multiple knee replacements, which each one's going to be harder than the next because she's older, her muscles are older, everything gets worse. Like in her left knee, she doesn't have any cartilage because they went in and did a scope, which was they drug out all the cartilage in her knee because it was loose and just floating around in her knee, causing her pain. So they literally just took out all her cartilage in her left knee. So her left knee hurts her all the time, but it's not as bad as it was and not as bad as it's going to eventually be. So her option is to wait. Um, when that scope was done, the knee specialist that did the scope said her knee was the blackest bone they've ever seen. And that's I forget what the bone in your like calf is, what the name of it is, but the top of that bone and the bottom of the bone in her thigh, she's the one who knows medical terms and stuff. They're both black, like just solid black, because they're dead. Her ankle's gonna just cave in it on her one day because the ankle specialist we seen, just there's nothing to replace. I really, again, I know I said it a little bit ago, but I want to say it again. I do appreciate Rudra and CT, you guys hanging out and talking with me. It makes doing the lives way more entertaining from my aspect because it's not just me trying to think of things to randomly say. And one of the things that made me fall in love with her, because we were friends for 2 years before we started dating, but one of the things that helped me fall in love with her is her empathy, compassion, and like level-headedness of this situation she finds herself in. Because a lot of people who become disabled and weren't there in most of their lives become real angry about it. And then they tend to, not only take it out on themselves, but around the people, or the people around them. And she's been just an absolute saint of the way she's handled this hardcore curveball life has thrown at her. I'm guessing you deleted your message, CT. I was just actually about to respond to what's a way to make money in America. I will say there's a lot of different ways to make money. For a little while, I did Lyft and Uber. That was when I lived at my dad's house and I used his car. He also did it. It was just how we helped pay our bills. Back when I had a van, I did DoorDash for a little bit. That ain't too bad. Unless you do it like 8 hours every single day, no taking breaks, Lyft, Uber, and DoorDash and stuff, I don't find it to be you can do it like if you do it once in a great while. So do it like for a few hours one day in a weekend. It'll pay for your gas for the week if you happen to make enough money, which sometimes when I was door dashing, we'd go out for 4 to 6 hours because that's all me or her can sit in the car for. Sometimes I made a bunch of money where I made $120, $160 in 2 of the 4 hours. And then the other 2 hours, I don't make any money. So like it's decent to like just do for gas, but trying to pay your bills, it's not really good. And it if something like the mileage it puts on your car is what really makes it not worth it. Because yeah, if something breaks down on your car, you know, say you got to get a new transmission, there's no way you've made enough money, I think, even doing like a full-time 40-hour every day doing Lyft and Uber, you're not going to be able to afford that out-of-pocket expenses. Plus your insurance rates go way up because you're doing delivery stuff, so you have to have a different kind of insurance setup. So it's not the best setup. Trying like content creation isn't terrible. It's something that's really hard for a lot of people to do. I'd say I've never made, since I've recently started the Powerful Swagger brand, I haven't made no money. But when I was broadcasting, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago, over the 3.5 years that I broadcast, I made $80. But a lot of people who make money off of social media tend to already have money to pour into to create good content, have the cameras, the studios, stuff like that. And then past that, it's, either find a job that will give you a computer to work from home, find a work from home job if you have a computer, just the regular getting job kind of stuff. At least all the legal ways anyways. There's always committing crimes to make money, but I don't recommend that. It's not worth going to jail, making however much money you might make breaking the law. So yeah, I'd say don't do that. It's not worth it. And CT, I do know you want to make partners with me. Like I said, I'm 100% down to talk about that, but it's something I'd rather talk about more privately than on the live here. I like to think it's not as bad as it might be in other parts of the country. Yeah, man, like I said, I don't know if YouTube does private messages or not, but like find me on Facebook. It's Powerful Swagger, spelled exactly the same as YouTube here, and we can talk there. Or on Twitter. I know they both have DMs. Just message me on one of my other platforms or this one if you can, and we can talk about it privately. But yeah, I like to think that it's not as bad in the rest here as in possibly the rest of the country, only because I feel like Michigan, at least I think, puts off the vibe of being a bit more tolerant, not only because of just the history the state has, but we have the largest population of Muslims in the world outside of the Middle East. And that, I feel like that says something. That means that people do feel like they can be themselves here, at least in, the metro Detroit area anyways. And it's a thing that I'm extremely proud about our state, is that we can tout the fact of having so many Muslims living in our area. So that makes me think, since we are so tolerant of things like that, we're more tolerant of also skin color and cultures and things like that. So I think Michigan might be a bit better than other places, just like there are totally places that are probably more tolerant than Michigan, like California or New York. But I do think I'm proud to say that I live in Michigan, even with us going red this year and supporting Trump. I'm still very proud of our state. Hey, Nevin, glad you were able to join back up. How you doing today? I hope you feel better than you did yesterday. Sadly, Cheeseman Creek did not show up today. Gettysburg, I don't know if there might be a Gettysburg here in Michigan. I don't know all like the states or the cities and stuff in the state. But the Gettysburg that most people think of when they hear Gettysburg. That's in Tennessee. I think. Now I'm questioning it. Usually I'm at home and I have a computer as well as an old cell phone, but I don't have any of those things, so I can't really, like, I would check myself right there about Gettysburg and if I was correct or not. But yeah, I'm sitting in my car waiting for my lady at physical therapy, and the only way for me to do it would be to look on my phone, which doing the live on, so can't really do that. I'd have to end the live. And we're not going to do that because we're having a good time, and it's only 2:41, so my lady's still going to be in there for at least another 20 minutes, if not longer. Yeah, sorry, Nevin didn't show up today. You are a Stephen King fan. Okay, I'm like, that's perfect timing. You corrected it right as I like read it. I was like, you are Stephen King, huh? Now I read a bit of it randomly when I was a teenager. One of my friends had it. I was hanging out there, read like a few pages of it. Never really got into like horror books too much. But I have liked a good chunk of like the movies and TV shows that have come out, Stephen King wise. I also think it's very funny that he got kicked off Twitter recently because he called Elon Musk the first lady to Trump. And I think that is just absolutely hilarious. Let's see here. We got some messages. I've never been to New England either. I'd like to go to Salem. I know my lady's talked about wanting to go there one day, so it's probably something we'll try to do eventually if I can ever figure out what I want to do with my life and make a real amount of money with sadly the amount of disability she has. There's like I said, she can only work for so many hours because all the different things she's got going on. And I know, CT, like I said, we'll have the conversation. I'm down to talk about partnering up with you. I appreciate the subscribe. Yeah, because part of also what works out about like us not discussing it while on live is I can't really look into you or your content to see if you're somebody I want to partner with. Because again, I'm on the live. To be able to do any of that stuff, I'd have to go off. So it's a discussion easier had off the live. I have not been to Maine. I live in Michigan. I've lived in Tennessee. I've been to Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, and California. And I know you do, CT. I really appreciate the hand hearts. I like cake. I like cake more than I like pie, but I also I'm real simple. Like vanilla or marble cake is what I like. Good ice cream cake is good. Again, if it's like vanilla, I'm not a huge chocolate fan, so generally, like if it's a chocolate cake, I'll only get a real small piece, or just steal bites from my girlfriend's slice of cake, because chocolate's okay, but I'm more of a vanilla guy when it comes to like pastries and things like that. And then when it just comes to like candy and stuff, I'm more of a fruit guy, so like Skittles, fruit snacks, things like that. That's awesome. Do you have any like particular Legos or plushies that you're hoping you're gonna get? So glad. I'm assuming when you say add me to the list, that means you're one of my followers now. Really appreciate it, Adri. I cannot talk today. Rudra. I'm glad you enjoy talking with me. I'm definitely enjoy talking with you. Like I said, it makes the broadcast better when I have people to conversate with instead of just me rambling about the random things that pop in my head. I do not like dark chocolate by any means. I'm not a fan of dark chocolate. It's way too bitter. And my girlfriend loves dark chocolate. She's all about the bitter, but I'm not a fan of the bitterness. Um, so now again, still just killing time, hanging out. My girlfriend's in physical therapy. She usually it takes about an hour to like an hour and 15 minutes, depending on how long the physical therapist works on like stretching her body and stuff, as well as how long like she does the heating or ice pads and things like that for her. So her appointment started at 2. Excuse me, burped there. Her appointment started at 2. It's 2:47. So we have anywhere from another 13 minutes to 28 minutes of the broadcast going on. Just me chilling in the car. The loneliest state I've drove in. So I've actually only drove in Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. I've never drove in Georgia or Florida. I did drive in Louisiana, and I did not drive in California. I probably, because out of the states that I've drove Ohio. It's one of the bigger states, north to south wise, out of the list, and it's probably the most of the states I've listed that is just like farms. Not to Georgia. Georgia probably has more farms than Ohio does, but I didn't drive in Georgia. When I drove through Georgia, I was, I think, like 19. I hadn't got my license yet. It was riding down with my family to go see my grandma in Florida. So I didn't do any of the driving then. I just did the riding. But yeah, so I would say personally driving Ohio. And again, it's been over a decade since I did the Florida drive. So yeah, I want to remember the real loneliness of Georgia. I know my brother-in-law as well as my oldest brother, they've both done a lot of driving throughout the country, and it's like the corn states that are like the loneliness, Iowa and those that are just like huge farm states, because you do a lot, just like Ohio, do a lot of driving just through farm fields. Yeah, no, that's beyond nuts to me. Um, Especially with like how many of them argue that like Trump is like for downtrodden people or poorer people, and he's gonna make taxes so much better and make companies do better, so that's going to be better for everyone else, even though history has proven companies who get more money back just use that money to buy back their own stocks and make their CEOs and board members and stockholders that more richer, instead of their employees and consumers making their lives better, which is what should, I personally think, a company should do. Because, like, for example, Walmart, who makes billions upon billions of dollars, or no, you know what, I'm not even going to do Walmart, because though I did work there, I only worked there as overnight stock. I'll use Dollar Tree as an example, because I hate that company more than I do Walmart, and I actually worked there for almost 2 years. Um, Tina is actually Nevin. He's, I'm assuming, watching under his mom's account, because he's a young man. 9 or 10, I believe. But I appreciate you guys welcoming him to the community. That's something I definitely want to push about my community is, everybody is welcome except for bigots. I'll die on that hill. If you're mean to or think less of gay people, trans people, poor people, black people, minorities, disabled people, anything like that, you have absolutely no right on my page to absorb my content. I don't want you to be a part of my community. But everyone else is more than happy to be a part of my community. Yeah, and not to get too much into politics, because I'm not too ready to start getting into that again. But the thing that I've always really hated since 2016, and he ran, specifically, anybody, I know people who have voted for Trump, they don't really talk about it around me anymore, because I've made it very clear to not talk about it around me, because I do think lesser of them for doing that. But on his first campaign trail, he made fun of a disabled reporter for what the reporter wrote about him, and he made fun of the guy's movements and the way he spoke, because that's what his disability affects. He has a neurological disability. I forget the exact name of it, but it causes his body to not always work the way he wants it, and it does affect his speech. But yeah, Trump didn't like what he said about him, so he made fun of him on the campaign trail. And the fact that so many people who personally know me, someone who has a disability that affects my a physical ability to do things, one of the things, my left hand and right hand, whatever my left hand does, my right hand does. So it a lot of the times, if I let go of something in my left hand, my right hand will drop whatever I have in it, because it'll also let go of it, because it's just part of how my brain compensated for the damage that was done when I was born 3 months premature. It started sending, at least how it was explained to me, the part of my brain that said send signals to the left side of my body now sends signals to the right side of my body. I've had it for the 31 years I've been alive, so I have been able to train it a bit more, so it's not always copying my left hand, and I can, as long as I actively think about it most of the time, it's not really a subconscious thing. I won't drop things in my right hand when I open my left hand, because I think not to do it. But that's, I've trained myself to do that because I've had to do it for 30 years. But yeah, for people to vote for someone who's made fun of people like me and has openly said that he jumps in and out quite a bit. He'll be back in the next couple of minutes. But he wants to cut social programs to help with our deficits and things like that, because that's what him and Republicans think where money is wasted, is things on Social Security and food stamps and things that matter to poorer people and less disenfranchised people. There's a reason why, and not all rich people, there are totally liberal rich people who are more than happy paying their share and putting extra into the community because they understand they have the privilege to do that. But there's a reason why the conservative side gets so many rich people on their platforms, because their platforms are for people who already have money, and then they claim to poor people that, hey, if us with more money make more money, then that's going to help you, because we'll be more willing to give you that money in certain ways, like trickle down economics and things like that, when that's not the case. That's the reason why they're millionaires and billionaires, is because they don't just give out money and do things like that, because they're of the mindset of, I need to have as much money as possible and save as much of it as possible. And that's how they got to where they were, to a certain extent. A lot of rich people, there's generational wealth that their ancestors monopolized or off the backs of poor or slaves or whatever. And so now they're extremely privileged. Like I said, there are some that recognize that fact and do their best to try and change that. But there's a reason why so many conservatives are generally wealthy, because the stance they take. Cool to hear you're not leaving, Evan. CT, I also love the United States. I just don't love when the United States ignores its issues or elects fascists, because that's just insane. I never thought America would, like, when we elected Trump the first time, it blew my mind, and I was like, okay, you know, he came in saying this crazy stuff, talking about not being a politician, that's how he made it. But then he won again, and he's now a full-on politician. Like, the things he has done over the last 8 years, he is now a politician. So a bunch of people are backing him like, oh yeah, he's not a politician, that's why I love him. He's not. He's just not a trained politician. So he, you know, says racist, bigoted things. And a lot of the racist, bigoted people like that. Generally, yeah, the North is strongly blue, and it's the South that tends to go a bit red. But it was crazy how much of the country went red this year. Not that it means, like, you know, Democrats aren't going to exist anymore and, you know, we're all completely ruined. I think it was like in 1987 or something like that. All but one state was red. But I do worry about the people who are going to be affected over the next 4 years by the things that Republicans can now push through pretty easily, because everything is Republican at the moment. It's going to be nice in a few years when everything's way worse and I can rub it in everybody I know who support Trump's faces that, hey, your boy didn't do it. Like, he made things worse. But that is very outweighed by my fear of the women, trans people, gay people whose lives are going to be affected, some of them whose lives are going to end. And because we've elected who I consider, by the definition of fascist and fascism, Trump is. Let's see. The OG United States, if you know what I mean. Yeah, no, I do know what you mean. I don't really know much about JFK's, like, policies and things like that. What little bit I've heard about him as a president was he's an extremely good president. That could also just be because he was one of the few presidents that were assassinated, that his, you know, things that might not have been great have been a bit more pushed under the rug, because, you know, people don't like to bash dead people, which I get, they're dead, but I also do believe that just because someone's dead doesn't take away the crappy things they did in their life. So I don't really know much about his presidency. As far as what the little bit I do know, he was a good president and was going on a good course for America as a whole, which is something that another thing I regret, or I miss and regret I haven't really got to experience, because though technically I was just old enough to vote in the 2012 elections, I turned 18 the year before. Being 19, I wasn't as educated in politics and things like that. I don't think I even voted then. So it wasn't until Trump started saying all his crazy stuff that got me into politics, which that's something I will give props to Trump's craziness, is a lot of people got into politics because of him, because of the crazy things he said, and that worried them. But I seen a video recently of an older person feeling bad for younger people like me and people younger than me that are getting into the political landscape in the last decade, that have, it's basically just been fighting against Trump. You know, it's been, you have the Democratic side where they're they do fight against Trump and point out the poor things about him, but Trump goes full on as saying Democrats are the enemy and that we can't exist together, and to the point of where he didn't do a concession speech of when he lost. He amped up insurrectionists and caused something to happen in the history of our country that's never happened and never should have happened. And yeah, he's made our political landscape, which it's also that Republicans have gone very bigoted in the last decade in the things that they push. But instead of it being like, I seen a video of John McCain, some lady starts asking him what she thinks about Obama not being born in America and being a Muslim, and he shut her down immediately and is like, none of that is true. There's no basis to that. He is an American who loves America, and though we may have different ideals, he is not like an enemy to us. At the end of the day, he just wants what's best for America. And I wish our political landscape had that today. But because Trump has pushed the whole Democrats and leftists are evil, communists, Marxists, bad people who are going to destroy the country, it's become sides of, either Democratic or Republican, because in the way I see it, and I feel like the fact of the matter is, Democrats do actually care about the way people are thought about and feel, and Republicans are against people having feelings and being respected and equality, because equality to oppressors feels like oppression because they're losing a lot of the privileges they once had. All right, let's see. Been rambling here for a second. Talking real fast like that is a very good skill to have, and especially at your age, you keep working on that. That's something that can come in real handy in multiple forms of work, not just like rapping. So keep on it. Watched the beat of Charlie Kirk and his stance on abortion was just insane. Oh yeah, nah, a lot of those guys I don't even pay attention to or listen to any of the things they say, because a lot of it's just insane, and most of it is heavily rooted in misogyny and white supremacy, and they'll argue all day that it's not, but it's just, from what I've learned about history and what I pay attention to, that's how I portray the way they say the things they do, is that they are white supremacists and they are also fascists, and they are happy with people losing their rights if they're not people that look and act like them. So yeah, I don't even, I did watch a couple of Jubilee's videos, but after watching a few of their videos, I don't really like them as a platform either, because they're somebody pointed out a video I seen that they're about also putting people to each side and not trying to find a middle ground, which is what they claim to try to do. But then they get guys like Charlie Kirk to be on there, who's a white supremacist, a racist, a fascist, and it's like, you're not trying to find middle grounds when you're putting bigots on your platform, because we shouldn't find middle grounds with bigots. They're bigots. They don't deserve the right to have ground, let alone the middle ground. Trump not only insulted the McCains, but insulted veterans, McCain specifically, by calling them suckers and losers, that he likes war heroes that don't get captured and tortured. And so many veterans have voted for Trump, and that is, I feel extremely disrespectful to all our veterans, because he called a veteran who was tortured when he was captured as a war, I can't think of the word, a war person. For some reason, I'm blanking on the word. But, who was captured and tortured, he said was a lesser of a man because of that fact. It's just beyond insane. And yeah, Trump is a terrible human being. That is mad props, dude. To be able to sing Rap God and like keep up with Eminem throughout the song, that's nuts. I cannot. I've tried. There's a few songs throughout my life that are super fast like that I've really enjoyed. Can't even do it. I've tried and tried and tried. It's just not. I can't get my tempo or pace, whatever it is, to that level. It also doesn't help. Little fun fact about me that I have dentures. I don't really put adhesive in because for the most part they stay pretty stuck in, but it's why sometimes like I slur some of my words, or if I'm talking fast or loudly, the teeth might come out of place and it might mess up what I'm saying. So yeah, mad props, Nevin. It sounds like you are, again, from last time we talked, you are a kid who is putting time into his hobbies and his skills to set yourself up better later in life. And I give you mad props on that, little man. Keep doing you. I have not seen The Boys yet. It is on mine and my lady's list. I think we have 3 shows ahead of it at the moment. And right now we're watching One Piece, the animated version. We're on like 6:35, give or take. So it'll be a while before we're to The Boys, because we're also watching Supernatural, but we're towards the end of that. But the show that's slated up after that is House. That's another 11 season show with like 20 episodes a season, so it'll take us a while to get through that. The Jubilee debate was what I watched. Yeah, no, I watched it too because I don't know his last name, but Parker and Dean. I like both of them on TikTok. They're both very intelligent young men that make their points very well. I've also I found a couple of the other people that I've seen in a couple of these debates pointing out a couple of the issues of like Parker's and Dean's stances and how they tend to try to center themselves a bit more than they should, trying to be allies for minorities of color and things like that. And when they pointed it out, it did kind of make sense to me. Yeah, sorry, Nevin. I know this is a bit out of your league. Oh, you can come in, obviously. My lady is done with physical therapy, so looks like I'm going to have to end the broadcast, guys. I appreciate everyone for joining the broadcast and talking with me today. I've got a niece's game to go to. Again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. Follow my YouTube to join the next. Check out my other pages. Twitch, all the same, Powerful Swagger. My TikTok's PWFLSWGR. I create other content other than just doing lives. Game broadcasts, game clips, toy builds, unboxings, Reddit reads, just stuff I enjoy creating. I appreciate it if you checked out my other content, threw me likes or follows on my other pages. I might go live again today or broadcast Spider-Man more today. Haven't decided. It also depends just how my day goes. But again, hope everybody has a wonderful day. I'll see you on the next one. And remember, try to be kind out there.